Okay, sugar. It's time to talk about sugar. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Uh, so, sugar is a form of energy for our body. We need energy, so we actually need a certain amount of sugar. Sugar is immediate energy, so that means that it gives us short bursts of energy, not long lasting energy. So we don't need a lot of sugar because if we eat a lot of sugar, what happens is we start doing a roller coaster. You start you get all that energy, yeah, I'm ready, oh, and then the next thing you know, you're like, oh, I got no energy at all whatsoever. So it's really important that we pay attention to how much sugar that we're eating. It's also important to pay attention where we're getting the sugar that we're eating from. Uh, Sugar causes inflammation. Too much sugar causes inflammation. Causes inflammation of our blood vessel linings. Sugar is one of the major contributing factors of chronic illness. Even though people don't realize this, they don't understand it. So why do we eat so much sugar? Well, because it has a tendency to be addicting, especially high fructose corn syrup. So, the more processed and refined the sugar is, the worse it is for you. It doesn't get any more highly processed and refined than high fructose corn syrup. That is so incredibly processed that the minute that you take a product that has high fructose corn syrup in, the sugar immediately goes to your bloodstream and also immediately crosses what's called the blood brain barrier. So it goes directly to your head as well. So this is causing inflammation. This is the CDC actually stated that high fructose corn syrup is one of the major contributing factors to the diabetes epidemic. And that is because this sugar gets into your bloodstream so fast. The crazy thing is, the last of my knowledge, high fructose corn syrup is not regulated by the FDA. And it's in everything. So it's really super, super, super important to start reading the labels. I'll give you a hint at some things that high fructose corn syrup is in. It's in Campbell's products, tomato soup. It's in SpaghettiOs. It is in ketchup, and most ketchups have it. Just about every soda has high fructose corn syrup. Chocolate syrup, most of the chocolate syrups, most of the chocolate milks have high fructose corn syrup in it. A lot of these fruit drinks that we think, oh, this is healthy, it's fruit, look at the ingredients, high fructose corn syrup. McDonald's realizes that, oh, this is a problem. And so, an article that I read about a month ago, McDonald's said that they are going to help improve health and they are going to take the high fructose corn syrup out of their french fries, out of their hamburgers, and out of their hamburger buns in the year 2018. And that's how they are going to help contribute to the overall improvement of health. So, read the labels. You will be amazed at what high fructose corn syrup is in. Now, because high fructose corn syrup has been getting a bad rap, and justifiably so, the manufacturers have started changing the name. So sometimes they will call it, I think, cane syrup, or they'll call it corn sugar. Or just recently, I belonged to a gluten-free Facebook group, and they were posting what candies are gluten-free because Easter, coming up, and they were citing this one candy and they put in quotations, sugar obtained from wheat or corn, quotation marks. So she contacted the manufacturer because, of course, gluten-free can't do anything with wheat, especially people that have celiac disease. It's like deadly to them. I mean, they're like laid up for days on end simply because of having any wisp of wheat at all whatsoever. And the manufacturer said that the ingredients in the candy has not changed at all. They simply have changed the labeling and how they are calling that sugar. So, of course, that was an immediate red flag to me. I was like, it's high fructose corn syrup, right? They just don't want to call it that. They want to call it something different so people think that they're safe eating it. So why do they use this in so many products? My opinion is that they use it in so many products because it's so highly addictive. It immediately crosses all of those barriers. And so therefore you crave high fructose corn syrup the same way that a cocaine addict craves cocaine. actually studies have shown that you crave it worse. It's in cookies, it's in, almost all of your candies. You just be amazed. It's in Campbell's baked beans. It's in things that you don't expect it to be in. All of a sudden you'll find that high fructose corn syrup is there. So really, really, really start reading your labels. Take the time. Find the products that are safe and then start just using those products that are safe. They do now make ketchup that has regular sugar in it instead of the high fructose corn syrup. Heinz makes it, and it'll say with simply Heinz, I think it is, and then Hunt's makes it, and it puts right on the label, no high fructose corn syrup. And some manufacturers are starting to do that now, no high fructose corn syrup, because they get it. I mean, it is horrible, 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 horrible for you. If the only thing that you take out of this 6-week program is you give up your high fructose corn syrup, then you have done your body a huge, huge, huge favor. So I could go on and on about it because I'm pretty passionate about not using high fructose corn syrup. Ask any of my kids. My youngest son, he loves chocolate milk, and he goes, we're in line, and he goes running to get a bottle of chocolate syrup so he can make chocolate milk. I flip it over, first ingredient, high fructose corn syrup. I hand it back to him and said, sorry, not this time. So now he knows. He actually looks at the ingredients himself, and I've got him fairly well trained as far as that's concerned. So we're talking about sugar. We need to also talk about sugar substitutes. So for years and years and years, I used to use Splenda. My chiropractor also is a whole foods nutritionist and studies kinesiology. And so she told me I needed to stop taking the Splenda. And I hadn't really stopped taking it. And one day I was in to see her, and she asked me about it. And I was like, no, I'm still taking it. And she never gets upset with me, right? I mean, she's the nicest person ever. And she was like, that is it. You stop this right now. You are paying me to be your doctor. And I'm telling you right now, get off those sugar substitutes. Your body doesn't know what they are. They're chemicals. They're not going to do you any good at all whatsoever. And I'm telling you, I don't want to hear again that you're taking that. So she was pretty emphatic about it. And needless to say, I went home and threw away all my Splenda. And she said, if you really need to take something, you take local maple syrup, local honey, or a raw sugar. Use it in the smallest amounts possible that you can use it in. So that is one of the things that we want to do. I did Bulletproof Diet, and I think next week we start talking a little bit about the Bulletproof Diet, but that was actually, I committed to doing it for 2 weeks, and the one huge benefit that I got out of it, well, I got several benefits out of it, but one of the huge benefits that I got out of it is that I got sugar out of my coffee, which was, I'm one of those Dunkin' Donuts people that does extra coffee. So I was pretty happy that I got the sugar out of my coffee, and now I don't drink it with sugar at all anymore. So if you are going to do a substitute, do the stevia, because stevia comes from a plant, so that's natural. That's not a sugar substitute per se. It is actually a natural form of sugar. Still remember, sugar in high quantities causes inflammation of the blood vessel linings. Inflammation is the primary cause for almost every chronic illness. So you're talking about high blood pressure, you're talking about cholesterol, you're talking about joint pain, talking about heart disease, diabetes. The list just goes on and on. Inflammation is the crux of the problem, the underlying cause that people don't really talk about. And maybe part of the reason they don't talk about it is because they want you to take the medicines for it, but really you can control these things if you control your food. If you pay attention to what it is that you're eating, then as you're eating better, and as we're teaching our kids to eat better, then we really can just avoid chronic illness altogether. That does not have to be something that you have to be plagued with, even though it is an epidemic. And, it's hard to walk in a room and not have at least one person that is plagued with chronic illness. It's something that we can get a handle on. Sugar is a key factor. It's a big deal. So for this week, what we're going to do is we're going to eliminate sugar. So do your very best. If all of a sudden you give in and you have sugar, don't give up. Keep going. Eliminate the sugar, right? Just start fresh. And no sugar for a whole week. Make sure that you take notes in your journal. I brought books so that you can write down in keep it with you in your purse or in your pocket, and write down not just the food that you're eating. You can or can't do that, but really how you're feeling, both mentally and physically, as we test these things from week to week. Because that's kind of the big deal. Is we're trying to push past the status quo. We're trying to get our mindset to shift, and that means that we got to do things that we're not used to doing. Stick with them for a whole week. So every single day for a week, that's really important.